In the world of business, knowledge isn't just power, it's your unfair advantage. This is Momentum, your deep dive into the books that shape the world's most successful leaders. Let's begin.
Have you ever been in a high-stakes board meeting, or perhaps a casual performance review, when someone says something seemingly minor, and suddenly you feel your blood start to boil?
Oh, I know that feeling exactly, Ryan. It's like a physical takeover. Your heart races, your face flushes, and before you can stop yourself, you've snapped back with a sarcastic comment or a defensive wall that shuts the whole room down.
Exactly. And 5 minutes later, you're sitting at your desk wondering, who was that person? You pride yourself on being a rational, composed professional, but in that moment, it felt like someone else was driving the bus.
It's the emotional hijack. It's that gap between who we want to be, the calm, collected leader, and how we actually react when we feel cornered. For most ambitious professionals, these moments aren't just embarrassing, they're career killers. They erode trust, damage reputations, and leave us feeling like we have a glitch in our operating system that we can't quite fix.
You start to wonder if you're just wired to be reactive, or if there's some hidden minefield in your psyche that you're constantly stepping on. You try to use willpower to stay calm next time, but when the pressure is on, willpower tends to vanish.
But what if there was a completely different way to think about these explosions? What if those moments of intense reaction weren't actually glitches at all, but instead they were incredibly precise maps leading you directly to your greatest areas of potential growth? This is the core question explored in the transformative book, Triggers: How We Can Learn from Everything That Confuses, Offends, or Frustrates Us by David Richo.
Now, Emily, when people hear the word triggers, they often think of it in a negative or even a fragile sense. But Richo takes a much more powerful, almost investigative approach. His game-changing idea is that a trigger is not an attack from the outside world, it's an echo from our past.
That is a huge shift in perspective. Richo argues that when we overreact to something in the present, it's almost never about what is actually happening right now. Instead, the current situation has triggered an old unresolved memory or a childhood wound. He says, if it's hysterical, it's historical.
If it's hysterical, it's historical. I love that. It's so punchy. Let's look at how this actually plays out in a professional setting. Imagine a project manager named Sarah. Sarah is brilliant, but she has a massive trigger around being ignored.
Okay, so what happens when a team member misses a deadline or doesn't reply to her email immediately?
To anyone else, it's just a busy colleague. But for Sarah, it triggers a deep, old feeling of being invisible, perhaps from a childhood where she had to shout to be heard by her parents. Suddenly, she isn't just a manager asking for a status update. She's a frustrated child feeling neglected. She sends a blistering CC everyone email that creates a toxic atmosphere for the whole week.
And the tragedy is, she thinks she's being tough or demanding excellence, but she's actually just reacting to a ghost from 20 years ago. Richo's framework suggests that Sarah's trigger is actually a gift. It's showing her exactly where she needs to do the work. Instead of blaming the colleague, Richo teaches us to look inward and ask, what old story is this telling me?
He introduces this idea of becoming the adult in the room, not just the adult in the office, but the adult for your own inner life. He suggests that by simply naming the trigger, saying to yourself, I am feeling triggered right now because I feel ignored, you create a crucial bit of space. You move from being in the emotion to being an observer of the emotion.
It's like stepping out of a rushing river and onto the bank. From the bank, you can see the water moving, but you aren't being swept away by it. Richo provides this incredible bridge between deep psychological insight and practical, day-to-day self-mastery. He isn't telling you to stop having feelings. He's telling you to start using those feelings as data points for your own evolution.
It's about moving from a state of reaction to a state of reflection. When you master this, you become unshakable. Because suddenly, when someone criticizes your work or misses a meeting, it's no longer a threat to your identity. It's just an event. You gain the power to choose your response rather than having your past choose it for you.
That shift is where true leadership lives. It's the difference between a manager who people fear and a leader who people respect. But here's the thing, understanding that triggers are historical is just the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. David Richo goes so much deeper than just identifying the problem. We've just scratched the surface of the why behind our reactions, but the how of actually changing those deep-seated patterns is where the real magic happens.
In our full 18-minute deep dive into triggers, we're going to get into the heavy lifting. We break down Richo's famous 5 A's: attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. These are the 5 essential needs that, when met, can neutralize almost any trigger you encounter.
We're also going to reveal the specific 4-step process for de-escalating a trigger in real time. If you've ever wanted a panic button for your emotions during a tough conversation, this is it. Plus, we explore the one common mistake most people make when trying to solve their triggers, a mistake that actually makes the triggers come back even stronger.
You'll also learn about the shadow work involved in leadership, how the things that annoy you most in your colleagues are actually reflections of things you haven't accepted in yourself. It sounds intense, but Richo makes it incredibly accessible and, honestly, liberating.
If you want to stop being a slave to your reactions and start showing up as the most powerful, centered version of yourself, you cannot afford to miss the full summary. We take these high-level psychological concepts and turn them into a practical toolkit for your career.
The path to mastery isn't about never being triggered again. It's about what you do in the seconds after the trigger happens. Join us in the premium version of Momentum, where we'll show you exactly how to turn your greatest frustrations into your greatest strengths.
We'll see you in the deep dive.